welcome to the latest episode of the Give My Head podcast, where we talk about comedy and culture and everything in between. I'm Tim McGarry, joined by my comedy colleague
Michael McDowell.
Our guest today, ladies and gentlemen, is a superb musician, producer, presenter. I was going to say chairman, that's not right. But boss of the Belfast TradFest. Are you the boss of the Belfast?
Sure. Skivvy and boss, they interlap. You know.
Skivvy and boss. It is the wonderful Mr. Dónal O'Connor, ladies and gentlemen. Dónal, very welcome to the Give My Head podcast. I'm going to be honest with you, don't take this the wrong way. We've interviewed comedians, actors, writers, politicians. Some people go, oh, that's your man off. Most people won't know who you are. If I was to say, ask you to describe yourself and go, hey, who's Dónal O'Connor? You would say what?
Well, I suppose first and foremost a musician. I'm a fiddle player.
Yeah.
And I'm also like a record producer, a recording engineer, and I've been a television documentary director and producer, and I'm the artistic director of Belfast TradFest, so too many hats, not enough heads.
Artistic director, see, that's where I went wrong. Artistic director. We have interviewed. This is about culture and comedy and politics and this and that. We have everybody on, but we haven't done many musicians, which is a kind of a. And you were recommended to me by my partner, who you vaguely know, Kelly. Did some stuff for you beforehand, but we haven't had musicians. And music is really, really important to this part of the world. And you are the artistic director of Belfast TradFest. And can I first of all thank, and this is a future note for other guests who come on this podcast, Dónal brought a gift, ladies and gentlemen, a gift of Dunville whiskey. Dunville, I thought Dunvilles didn't make whiskey. Are they back?
Revived brand, yeah.
This is Belfast TradFest, Dunville whiskey. Belfast TradFest is the pinnacle of world-class traditional music concerts, fiery pub sessions, and Ireland's fastest-growing summer school of traditional music.
Well, if you write it on the side of a bottle of whiskey, people might believe it then.
They might read it.
But you, I like a bit of trad music.
Good.
I was a fan of Christy Moore and Planksty and Moving Hearts and stuff way back in the day. You're a bit younger than me. Was that your period?
Oh, absolutely a fan of all of those. And we had Andy Irvine with us at the St. Patrick's Festival last weekend.
I saw Andy Irvine live.
84 years of age. He just came back from a 30-day tour of Australia.
Wow.
He tours on his own, doesn't have a roadie, doesn't have a sound engineer, doesn't have a tour manager.
He just has a mandolin.
And one of his famous songs is Never Tire of the Road, and I think that's very true of Andy.
84 and he's touring Australia. My God.
Yeah. Amazing. And he gave a great performance in the Mandela Hall.
And Christy Moore must be about something similar then, because I saw
Christy's over 80 as well.
Is he over 80 as well?
Yeah.
But you come from a family of musicians, and you're originally from Louth, aren't you?
Yeah, we grew up in the Cooley Mountains, just across the border in County Louth, and a family of musicians. Yeah, my father is a professional touring fiddler. He's in America at the minute. Wow. And my grandmother taught us the
touring fiddler.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Does that mean he goes with bands all around the world, or is he
he's mostly kind of solo now. But he had been in many bands. He was in a band called Skylark, and he had a band called La Lu, and he has played with bands like the Irish Rovers in Canada and America and Australia. So, but he's got a kind of a network of solo gigs that he does all around the States.
Right.
And he does a lot of workshops and house concerts and theatres and clubs and folk clubs and different things. Yeah, so he loves it. He never tires of the road either. He's mad for road.
Wow, and America, how long is he away for then at a time?
He can be 6-7 weeks at a time, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge in America, obviously, with the Irish connection.
It is, yeah, and there's a huge diaspora engagement with traditional music, and you see it with the TradFest that we run in the summer. We get a big number of people coming back from the States whose maybe father or mother or grandparents were Irish, and it's their way to connect with their roots is through traditional music, which has become an international pursuit, like Cuban music or like jazz. Traditional Irish music now is one of those genres.
It's in the blood. You were brought up with it. Your father's a fiddle player. You were never going to be a fiddle player. Is that the way it works?
You got handed a fiddle before you could walk. You were handed a fiddle, and you had no choice in the matter. Okay. In fact, my dad was away touring a lot, so my grandmother was my teacher, and she taught all of us and all of the community. And there were hundreds of fiddlers would come to her door. She lived in a little 2 up, 2 down in Dundalk.
Right.
And you would go there for a 30-minute lesson, and you'd get to put your hand in the bowl of sweets at the end of the lesson, which was the abiding memory as a child. It made you come back the next week. But yeah, so you kind of didn't have any. And I came to Belfast in 96 to study physics in Queen's University, and the music was just kind of ever present. I was playing sessions here in the bars, and I was playing with bands and touring Europe and stuff. So the physics got put to one side and the music continued.
Right. So you've never done anything properly with physics, like?
I never had a proper job, no.
Never had a proper job. Do you know a guy called Tom Makem? Not Tommy Makem, Tom Makem from Derry Noose.
Yeah. Well, when he's a relation of Tommy Makem.
He's a relation of Tom Makem,
and
but he runs a thing in Derry Noose, Tassie's Bar.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a sort of session there every sort of month, I think.
Yeah.
And I happened to go down it once with Kelly, and what an amazing event it is. And it's kind of that traditional thing of literally dozens of people just turning up, playing tunes.
Yeah.
Kids, but children are encouraged. Everybody has to do a wee turn.
Well, I think that's the beauty of traditional music, is that it's multi-generational.
Yes,
you'll have very young kids sitting with people in their 80s, and it's a common language. We're basically conversing with each other through tunes. So there's a kind of a common repertoire that if I sit with any traditional musician anywhere in the world, we can sit down and go, what about these couple of tunes that you might know from an iconic record of the Bothy Band or of Planxty or of Matt Malloy of the Chieftains? And you can sit down and you start exploring. You go on a little journey. It's just like having a conversation. You go on a journey to see where it might lead you through melody and through different dance rhythms, reels, jigs, or hornpipes, or slides or polkas. So it's a brilliant. My granny always said when we were growing up and coming into her for fiddle lessons, she'd say, the music is a passport. It'll bring you anywhere in the world, and you'll never be stuck. And that has been the case. I've been in Helsinki airport at 10 o'clock at night with no money because I missed a flight and I arrived late to a festival and had to take the fiddle out and bus to get the fare to get the bus into town because it was 10 miles outside of the city. So it is a passport.
See, this is where we're screwed, Michael. You see, we're A, lawyers, and B, comedians concentrating in Northern Ireland politics. We go to Helsinki airport going, right, hey, Jim Allister, he's a bit of a bollock. But having an instrument, I mean, it is. My father.
I'm sure that they know that in Helsinki as well.
My father always tried to encourage us but we weren't really a musical family, and it was one of a great regret, because I don't play any musical. I do love music, and a very Catholic taste in the small C. I do love classical music. I love a bit of rock music and stuff like that. And trad stuff. I was into and out of. And
well, kind of never too late. We were on a summer school in Ulster University in the last week of July.
Right.
And we get an awful lot of adults signing up who have either never engaged with the music or have fallen away from it, did it as a child, or maybe then had families and had to step away. And it's a great way to introduce yourself back into it, because it's a big group setting. So you go into classes with like 15 or 20 other people, other adults or kids or mixed ages. And you spend a week learning from a master, and at all levels, from beginners right up to advanced. Right. So last summer we had 950 students in the Ulster University for the week-long programme.
Yeah, but it'd be really embarrassing. The 7-year-old who's better than you.
Well, that inevitably is the case. Yeah. For any of us.
So you take something like the boron, which I love the sound of a boron. It seems pretty simple, but it's not really. It's usually not even a boron. It's quite complicated.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people do think it's simple and grab one off the wall in the pub.
I go,
and boron, the word boron, it comes from the word bore, which is deaf, so it's a deafener. It's the boron. Yeah, in the right hands, amazing. In the wrong hands, a weapon of mass destruction. Yeah,
right. Do you go to gigs and go, okay?
That can happen.
But there are sessions in various bars I've been to. Madden's, you go to Madden's.
Great bar.
Brilliant, great bar. And guys will just turn up, and the next thing you know, new session starts. Great stuff.
Well, somewhere like Madden's, you'll find musicians rock in there who are playing on international stages in Australia last week or America next week, and the people drinking in the bar don't necessarily know that this person has just sold 5,000 tickets in Melbourne last week, and they're now sitting in the corner just having tunes, having the crack, having a social evening's fun. So it's amazing. It's been a great home for traditional musicians in this city, Madden's, even through all the worst of times. The solace of that space and the welcome, that because traditional music wasn't always welcome, and I mean we see it now in the city that it's everywhere. But there were very few bars in the city that would have welcomed traditional music, and as maybe not that long ago. That's
interesting. I mean, it is true. Coming from that because of the sectarian division, do you think that has really ended in terms of there's always been, I suppose, certain sections of the Protestant community who have got a hostility? Do you think that's lapsing or going away?
I think that's eroding. Yeah, and I think like everything else. traditional music became polarised during the Troubles, but pre the Troubles, it belonged to everybody, and everybody played the music, particularly in the rural parts of counties Antrim and Down. Traditional music was played by all in Orange halls and in AOH halls, and it became a kind of a pub thing later in the sort of 70s and 80s. But the work of TradFest has been to try and bring people together through traditional music again and celebrate all the aspects of the tradition, from the fiddle and bodhrán and flute to the pipe and the drum and the fife, and to realise that these are just all old melodies that we share that have been appropriated by different political and cultural bodies, but that the melody exists in a timeless way and will do way beyond us.
Fife?
A fife is a short flute.
See, I thought it was a flute. It's a short flute.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So in traditional music, they play a concert flute, which would have been originally orchestral flutes from German orchestras.
Right.
And so they kind of, when the invention of the silver flute came along, the Bohm system silver flute, the wooden flutes got binned. And a lot of them then ended up coming over to Ireland, where the traditional flute players picked them up and started playing. Right. And so they're the concert D flute. Marching bands will play a B flat flute, which is a smaller, shorter flute, and fife is of that world. Yeah.
See, I'm learning. That's good. That's good to know. And do you get annoyed? See, if I was playing the fiddle, what's the difference between a fiddle and a violin? Is a violin just somebody who...
It's the same instrument.
It's the same instrument, exactly.
Yeah.
You see, I get annoyed. I'm playing the violin. I go, it's not a fiddle. That sounds kind of demean. Well, you're just fiddling there.
Snobby traditional musicians would call it a violin, and cool classical musicians call it a fiddle.
Oh, really? Is there snobbery in the music world?
No. Traditionally, classical musicians called it a violin, and traditional musicians called it, and they come from the same Latin word.
But it's the same instrument.
Same instrument, set up exactly the same.
You can play a Stradivarius.
Yeah. Folk musicians call it a fiddle, and classical call it a violin. Yeah.
You see, it's one of those instruments that it's really. I mean, both my kids did fiddle. And I went through that, and
not easy.
The screechy phase, you know. So it's like, and I did encourage, and they got all right, and then they gave it up, and it really annoyed me, because I thought, you've actually got to the level where you can actually play.
Yeah. And the early years are hard, and I have my youngest daughter is learning the fiddle, and she's doing great. She's doing great, and she loves to practice. But the fiddle is an instrument, because the note has to be found. It doesn't have frets like a guitar.
Yeah.
The intonation is very hard at the start, so it's a real struggle. But once you get over that hump, then it's probably the most dynamic of all the instruments, and the most fun then when you get to a certain level.
Yeah.
I would say that as a fiddle player.
But it's just the screechy bit at the start.
But you're right, you can take a fiddle or a guitar anywhere around the world and, you can just play. You play virtually everything, do you? I mean, do you play
fiddle is my first instrument.
Piano?
I play a bit of piano, a bit of guitar, and a bit of bouzouki. And as a record producer, it's useful to be able to jump on different instruments and add some colour to.
And you can play the bodhrán properly, can you?
I don't confess to that. Not in public, anyway.
Can you play Uilleann pipes?
No, definitely not. That's a different world of pain.
It is a beautiful.
You have to be either kind of crazy, or it drives you crazy. I haven't figured out where that loop starts and ends with the Uilleann pipes.
Something about that song sound is so...
My brother is a great Uilleann piper, and we played yesterday actually for Arnold Schwarzenegger in Ulster University.
Just drop that in there.
Yeah.
I was going to bring it up, but you drop it.
Usual Monday.
You were playing for Arnie Schwarzenegger, as you do, at the University of Ulster. You go, what's he doing there?
Picking up an old doctorate, as you do.
But you provided all the music for it.
We were commissioned to curate a musical performance that was traditional music in its essence, but tipped the hat to his world of his Austrian roots and then his cinematic world. So we did a trad version of the Blue Danube, Johann Strauss's Viennese waltz, and then we kicked into a trad Terminator theme tune, which was good fun. Had the shades on and the red dots and the whole lot.
Very good.
Did he appreciate it?
He loved it. He stood up and he gave it a big round of that was amazing. And he loved it.
Class. Uilleann pipes, I love them.
No, I like them too, yeah. And what?
Claire Moore's mother.
Yeah.
Funeral. In the street. They had a outside the house. Yeah. And it was one of those kind of really moving. It was kind of haunting, but in the street, it was an odd place to have it. But it was sorry, I'm just. But it's a brilliant. No, it's such a beautiful instrument.
It is beautiful. It's uniquely Irish in its sound.
Is it uniquely Irish? It's kind of.
Yeah, well, the origins of it are
pipes or pipes, surely.
The bagpipes are the original. I think they were a blown instrument with drones and with a chanter, and then it has become developed. Some people say that the Irish developed it because it's very hard to drink and smoke when you're playing the bagpipes. So they invented the Uilleann pipes. But it's a kind of a more advanced. The Scots won't thank you for that, but the more advanced version of the bagpipes, because it has 7 reeds. So you have 3 drone reeds like the bagpipes have up here, but then you have an additional 3 regulator reeds. So they're a bit like a church organ. You can play chords on the regulator. So you've got 3 banks of notes that you can make into chords with the palm of your right hand as you play the chanter.
Oh my God.
And the Uilleann pipe chanter has 2 octaves, whereas the bagpipe chanter has 1 octave. So it's limited to 8 notes or 9 notes. But the Uilleann pipes you can do the full scale. So it's quite the octopus to manage, and it's the most impressive thing when somebody masters the Uilleann pipes.
All right, so there wouldn't be too many Uilleann pipers then around, are there? Or
Well, at one point we were right down to a handful. I think in the
Really?
50s, there were only a handful of Uilleann pipers, and thanks to the work of organisations like na Peabody Uilleann and the Armagh Pipers Club and lots of different piping societies, that it has become very popular again. Yeah, and so as I say, my brother is a piper. He's in a band called the Merry Wallopers, and they tour the world. And so he's bringing bringing the sound of the pipes all around the world.
I heard, well, no, this is probably complete rubbish, but I heard it was the reason that they were developed was because they were slightly quieter than the bagpipe, and the bagpipes were kind of outlawed. Is that any truth to that?
Possibly, yeah. Like the bagpipes is an outdoor instrument, really. You know, it's at its best in an outdoor setting.
Yeah, really,
You know,
it is.
challenging in an indoor setting.
Yeah.
Whereas the Uilleann pipes work very well indoors.
Yeah, very challenging.
Very good.
Yeah,
That's the cut right there. Yeah.
I've done a couple of gigs for the PSNI.
yeah,
And when they have the chief constable or whatever, they pipe you in
yeah.
for dinner
yeah.
and stuff. And it takes a while for him to get his...
Yep.
And then, as you say, it's kind of an outdoor instrument.
Yeah.
And you go, this is very loud. This is very loud for a room full of 150
But in an outdoor
people.
setting, when you have a pipe band, like I don't know if you've ever been to the European Pipe Band Championships when they're held in the Ormo Park or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a full pipe band in tune, in time, in its full glory is magnificent.
Yeah,
you know,
sure
it's
it
a
is.
spectacle the likes of which you don't see very often.
It's funny. My encounter was we were filming Tim doing one of his shows in Edinburgh, and it's all pipers. There's all bagpipers every street you go into. And this guy was rattling away, and I came up to him and said, "It was very embarrassing for me." I said, could give you a favour. What do you want me to play? I said, no, I need you to stop because I need to record them.
Trying to film here.
I did a TV program out in Lorient in Brittany, and there's a big festival out there, the Inter-Celtic Festival, and they have 1 million people come to Lorient for this festival, and they invite all the pipe bands from all over Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales, America, Canada, Australia, and Brittany. They've got a great bagad pipe band tradition there. And the production company, Sonus Productions from here in Belfast, Maeve O'Hare and Carol Lynch, were trying to film in quiet spots in the city, you know, and every time we got 3 minutes of silence, a bagpiper would fall out of a tree, or a window would open and the pipes would come blaring out the window. It was a nightmare for them.
Shut up.
Yeah, shout out to Carol Lynch. She's our sound recordist for
Carol Lynch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's our sound man. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Carol.
Yeah.
I know Carol very well. Yeah. He plays for... Who does he play with?
Oh, God.
Give me a famous band. Begins with
Stockton
S.
Swing.
Stockton Swing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right, with Mike Hanrahan. Yeah,
Yeah.
the great Mike Hanrahan.
Carol
Yeah.
Lynch playing with our sound
Yeah.
man. You're a Gaelgore as well, aren't you? You were brought up kind of...
I was very luckily brought up speaking Irish. My mother and father decided to raise us speaking Irish, so we had it from home.
And
And did they have Irish? I mean, in terms of, like, obviously the area wouldn't have been, but it was just...
Yeah, my mother grew up speaking Irish. Her parents had met in the Gaeltacht in Donegal in the 1940s.
Right.
And decided to bring their family. My father didn't have Irish at home, but he had leaving certificate Irish or A-levels Irish, and he decided he would go back and do his leaving cert again. And my mother was a trainee teacher, and she was correcting summer exam papers, and they were living in County Meath at the time. He did the leaving cert back in Dundalk, and she was sitting out in the garden correcting papers, and all of a sudden his paper appeared
Brilliant.
amongst the papers, and so she said that he deserved an A, but she only gave him a B because she was afraid. So that was always a bit of a bugbear at home. Yeah.
do you use it today? Do you speak all the time?
Yeah,
Speak Irish all the time?
I've raised my kids speaking Irish,
Right.
and we use it at home and all of my family, and it's an amazing thing here in this city to be alive at this time in Belfast, and the resurgence of the Irish language. And like when I came up in '96, you carried it kind of carefully, and you weren't going about speaking it except in certain places like the Cultalan on the Falls Road, or Common Clonard, or certain places, maybe Madden's Bar in a quiet corner. But now you hear it when you go into shops. There's a whole generation of young people that have come through the Irish language medium education system, and they're now happy to speak to you from behind a shop counter or in any public body or on buses, and so my kids are growing up in a very, very different world, and it's seen as it's something that adds richness to.
I mean, there's a lot of nonsense around it. We had Linda Irvine on this programme.
She's amazing, amazing woman.
Yeah, amazing woman.
Yeah.
And she still gets a bit of crap from people, but I think that's changing, isn't it?
I think it is changing.
There's a lot
and
of nonsense. Lingual road signs, which we got a lot of jokes out. Got a lot of jokes for
for
our stage show, to be honest. So thank you very much.
But to be fair, the thrust of that stage was that it was ridiculous.
So obviously the anger about having a bilingual road sign, and I think it was, what was the joke about? Pastor Begbie said he can't go into the Grand Central Station because they might change the road signs, and he'd be trying to get the platform 6 for Sydenham, and underneath it'd be an IRA coded message on Sydenham.
Well, I think a lot is changing, and the interesting thing about the language, and it's nice to be over here in the sunny Gold Coast of Hollywood. We look with fond affection from North Belfast over here at the extra hour sunlight that you get here in the evenings.
That's very true.
But the place names in East Belfast, particularly, are all derived from the Irish language, and when you investigate the name through the language, it makes sense. Then it kind of gives us a perspective on why we call it. Sometimes, like even where I am in North Belfast, there's a street, Downview Park, and you think Downview, it's kind of like Hollygrove or Hazelwood, but it's only when it was translated into the Irish and the bilingual sign what went up that I realised that it has a relevance. We're looking across the loch at Down, so it made sense. Rark on Doon, the view of County Down. And it wasn't just a kind of a direction of travel.
Oh wow. Irish, there's a bit of snobbery though in Irish as well, isn't there? There's people going, well, there's an interesting thing happening with the Irish Commissioner, the new Irish Language Commissioner, who didn't approve of NECAP. Their promotion of the Irish language, felt that was maybe not as helpful to the
positive
as problem. Are you a NECAP fan? Are you that? Is NECAP obviously are rap musicians, and I speak as a 61-year-old man. I love rap music as much as any other 61-year-old man.
You're down with the kids.
Well, I went to see the movie, and I didn't mind the music. But I'm not sure.
I thought the movie was amazing. And I know the lads, and I've had them in the studio, and what they've done in terms of exposure for the Irish language is quite incredible, and there's a kind of a generational revival, I think, happening with language and culture on this island, and driven by things maybe like Brexit, and the decade of centenaries, and then the likes of NECAP and Mancha and Magan and lots of other people who've made the language cool for a younger generation. Like when I grew up in Dundalk, if my sisters and I, or my sister and my brothers and I spoke the language in a shop, the shopkeeper would say, "Oh, why are you speaking that old dead language? Wasting your time speaking that old dead language." And it's totally different now. It's seen as progressive, and it's seen as cool that we have, reconnected with our native roots and all of that. So it's a different time.
And you think in the south it's as vibrant? I mean, there seems to be like a bigger vibe up here, and somebody's looking.
It's certainly the Gaeltachts are under severe pressure. So the Donegal and the Connemara and the West Kerry Gaeltacht, they're under severe pressure in terms of the language surviving there. But it's really growing in the city. So Belfast, particularly Belfast, but Dublin and Cork and Limerick and Galway as well. And it's becoming an urban language, which is unusual in that it was very much associated with rural. The language was squeezed out to the margins where the land was its worst. And now it's kind of reviving in the city.
Back. That's really interesting because it was seen for a long time as kind of the language of the poor and your deep.
Well, the Catholic Church.
A lot of people don't like to say the Catholic Church was against it. If you want to get ahead, you need to speak English and educate yourself. This is the language.
And it was associated with a kind of a cultural shame, post-colonial shame, and a trauma, and that the language was something that would hold you back and keep you poor. And so that's why I think, sort of since the foundation of the Free State in the 20s right up to the 90s, the language was really, really looked down upon in the 26 counties. And it's different in the north because it's associated with identity in a more visceral way, I think.
Yeah.
And so the energy around the language and the culture here is very different.
Is there still, because my experience was, first of all, Irish teachers used to be fairly brutal. Put a metal bit in your head and whack it with a hurl if you got a question wrong. And then they seemed to be very dour. And then there's also this thing, and funny, Kelly, I was talking to Kelly about this 20 years ago when she was doing a thing for TG Cahir. There was some snobbery between Galway Irish speakers going, oh, this Ulster, you're not speaking it properly, your dialect isn't the proper dialect and stuff and all of that. Is that
the dialects
changing?
The dialects is the thing, yeah, and it's a kind of a very it's a local thing, you know. So the Ulster dialect is its own dialect. The Connemara dialect is its own dialect, and then the Munster dialect.
But they're mutually understandable, are they?
Well, they are.
Are they?
They absolutely are. But I mean, vast differences in words and in pronunciation. So it can be hard for someone like me who speaks the Ulster dialect to understand somebody who's very rural and speaks very quick in the Munster dialect. It can be a challenge. But I mean, I think it's like that in English too.
No, that's very true. Yeah.
No, it's hard to understand anybody from Kerry.
This podcast doesn't go as far as Kerry.
Oh, it's universal. Oh, please, excuse me. It goes all around.
We'll
the
never
world.
set foot in Dingle again.
I would like to learn Irish, but it's hard. You see, it is, isn't it?
All good things are hard, Tim. Yeah. But it's there's lots of opportunities. You know, there's lots of great classes, and Linda's doing amazing work.
Yeah.
She has hundreds and hundreds of people learning Irish here in East Belfast on a weekly basis. But the best way with any language, you know, if I was trying to learn French from scratch, is to immerse yourself.
Yeah.
Go somewhere where you can't speak English. You know, where people won't speak English. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
The Spanish.
The wilds of West Donegal.
Spanish A
The
level.
Spanish A level from a long time ago, which I stupidly didn't go to Spain and speak. But I can read a bit of Spanish. If you give me a Spanish paper,
can read it.
I could read it,
Yeah.
but I couldn't.
Yeah.
You're right. You need to immerse yourself.
You
know.
kind of have to, yeah.
Yeah. So so what you've signed me up for a music class and then an Irish class.
No time for podcasts.
Tell us about the Belfast TradFest for those of you who've never heard of it and go. You did a massive thing down Titanic. Did you have one of those? What was that?
Yeah.
Was it one of those?
We hold an annual Titanic Ceilidh.
Yes, that's
Right.
what it was. A massive Ceilidh.
on the Titanic slipways.
Oh, is
yeah.
it in the I was going to say that.
Yeah, on the slipway. So this year it'll be the 26th of July, and we last year we attracted 10,000 people down to the slipways, and we have bands and we have music performances and we have pipe bands and then we have like food village and all that. But the essence of it is to get people Ceilidh dancing, and the connection, I suppose, with the Titanic is it was a social. There were social dances. At the time of the building of the Titanic, and the dances then were brought to America by the immigrants, and
But
so
not by the ones on the Titanic, obviously.
well they kept dancing as the ship went down. I'm sure, yeah.
Not all of them.
But it's reviving the old set dances and the Ceilidh dances, and they're undergoing a revival here at the minute. So the plan is in the years ahead to have a Titanic Ceilidh Guinness World Record attempt at the world's biggest Ceilidh.
Right.
And the record is currently held by Cork. I think 2008 they had 8,000 people Ceilidh dancing at the one time. So we think we can top that here and have the eyes and ears of the world on the Titanic slipways as we all dance together.
So Ceilidh dancing involves how do you Ceilidh dance?
Actually, I've actually
Ceilidh
done Ceilidh dancing.
Have you?
Yeah, I have actually.
See, you're a liberal Presbyterian.
Yeah, no, it's years and years and years ago. But I thought it was really good fun. Actually.
Yeah.
All the
It is
sets
great
and all.
fun.
It is,
Yeah,
Scottish country dancing.
It's a bit more. It's much more social and kind of, everybody's grabbing each other. It's great.
Everybody's grabbing each
Yeah, not in that way.
10,000 people.
But it is. That's great. Yeah. It's not like, it's very different from the kind of Irish dancing you see, the kind of formal where they kind of bounce
Right.
up and down and just flick their legs out. It's much more.
It's
much more
group
interactive.
dancing,
Yeah.
form dancing, and you'll have a group of four in front of four, and they move in, they move out, they go into circles, and then they move through the lines onto the next line. So it is great fun. And at my wedding we had some Ceilidh dances, and my aunt, who's a nun, was dancing in one line, and she thought that she was grabbing somebody that she knew very well, but it turned out it was the priest, and she gave him a bit of a grope in the middle of this dance, so that could have gone very wrong. But thankfully, all was good in the end.
Were you involved in the one post-lockdown or during post-lockdown? There's a big Ceilidh down with the part of the Trad Festival.
Yeah, so we've had the Titanic Ceilidh. It's an annual.
Because speaking of that, because Kelly and I know a couple who met there and are still together
Oh,
because of
wow.
that Keeley dance. You
You
see,
see, there is a lot of grabbing in. Yeah, well, not that kind of grabbing.
You're bringing
but, you know.
people together.
Quite
you
the
see.
Cilla Black moment there, Tim. Should I get my hat? Oh, that's
So
great to
it's
hear.
very sociable. And it's
Yeah, very
it does-
sociable. Yeah, and the summer school that we have for a week long in Ulster University again brings people together through things like slow sessions. So you'll do your classes in the morning on your instrument, your fiddle, your bodhrán, your Highland pipes, or your snare drum, and then we come together and have slow sessions where you can try out your tunes at a very, very relaxed. Because some people are daunted in learning traditional music that they'll never be able to sit in a session in Madden's Bar or the Garrick Bar or the John Hewitt. I should name a few of these bars that look after us very well. The TradFest.
I was in the Erigal, there was a session.
There's a great session there in the Oak Room, yeah, and all the other bars in the city, the American Bar, but the coming together and the sharing of that experience together is a real bond that people then make lifelong friendships from, and so we get families coming from Norway and from Austria and Switzerland to Belfast, and they've now connected with families. So they used to book into student accommodation for their week at the TradFest, but now they come and stay with families in the south of the city or in the west of the city or east of the city. So Brilliant. It's an amazing thing.
It's grown and grown, hasn't it? So how many people would is it free, by the way? Most of the it's all kind of they're concerts you pay in, but there are gigs all over the city.
There's a combination of free and ticketed events. So the summer school, you pay a fee for the 5-day long programme. You can come along to the session trail. We programmed last year 120 sessions in 20 of our best bars. Wow. They're all free, so you can go along. It's a 2-hour session with 3 musicians programmed, and we'll have one of our world-class tutors and we'll partner them with emerging local musicians, so they get to experience hanging with one of their heroes in a session and seeing how they carry themselves and see how they drink a pint and see how they play a tune and learn from them, and not just learn music from them, but learn a bit more about the social aspect and the historical aspect. So that's a great thing to come along and witness for free. And then we have concerts at night, ticketed concerts, some free concerts, and we celebrate particular Belfast stories. There was a great fiddle player from this city called Sean Maguire, one of the greatest fiddle players of all time. Yeah, he was a fantastic character and had a huge reputation worldwide. And so we celebrate him with a fiddle concert. So all of our fiddle tutors, and this year we've got master fiddlers like Desi Donnelly coming from Manchester, and Breach Harper from Donegal, and Cathal Hayden from Tyrone, and they'll all perform at a concert in the Lyric Theatre to celebrate the great Sean Maguire, and it just kind of tells his story again and keeps him in the public imagination. And then we celebrate the Belfast Harp Festival, which took place in 1792. It was probably the most significant
in the assembly rooms,
which council have just taken over again.
They're finally going to hopefully do something with, aren't they?
Fingers crossed, because it's a very, very important site.
It's a disgrace that it's in that state at the moment.
Trial of Henry Joe McCracken took there as well. The Harp Festival 1792, quite an important moment.
And it was the McCrackens and the Joys and the radical Presbyterian merchant class who organised that festival, and the last great Gaelic harpers under sort of the patronage life were in their 70s and 80s and blind and dying out. Right. And thanks to that that work, they were brought together, and a young organist from Armagh who was 16, I think, at the time, in St Anne's Cathedral, he was given the task of notating their music.
Yes,
because we didn't have dictaphones or
Mr. Bunting,
or phones.
wasn't it?
Edward Bunting, yeah. And so only for that and the Bunting collections housed in Queen's University, we would have lost all of that music, and so it's very, very significant. So we celebrate that with a harp concert, and last year it was in the Redeemer Central on Donegal Street, an amazing church, which is a very unusual church. It's on the first floor. You go in and then you go upstairs to the church.
Where's this? Sorry, in Donegal?
And people in the city don't know where it is. It's in the shadows
of
Redeemer
Church.
The Redeemer Central. It's in the shadows of the new Ulster University building, and the Irish News building on Donegal Street. It's sandwiched in between them.
Right.
A very cute little church, and a beautiful space for music performances.
Right. Wow. I've never even heard of that. I'm from North Belfast, as you know. It's the Redeemer Church, or which branch of...
I think there's a new Christian congregation in there, kind of a modern, young, cool... Happy clappy version of Christianity, if there is such a thing. But,
cool Christian.
So when is the Trad Festival on then?
So 26th of July we'll have the Titanic Ceilidh on the slipways, and that'll kickstart the whole week of
26th of July. That's just before the Fleadh then, isn't it?
Yeah, so we'll run the full week up to the 2nd of August, and then Fleadh Ceoil takes place from the 2nd of August to the 9th of August.
Oh, wow.
So 2 whole weeks of Trad, and the Fleadh is it's the biggest show in town in terms of traditional music. It's the biggest festival of traditional arts in the world, and I expect they're estimating 800,000 people arriving in the city for the week, but I think it'll be closer to 1 million.
Wow.
Where are they going to stay?
Ormo Park.
Your gaff.
Ormo Park.
Ormo Park.
What is your thing?
Yeah, the camping is in Ormo Park, and
Ormo Park.
camper van sites down at the Titanic Quarter, and then we've got I think 7,000 student housing units in the city now, and hotels, and so it takes place generally in provincial towns like last year Wexford, Mullingar, the year before that Drogheda, Ennis, Sligo. And
Derry did it a few years ago.
It was in Derry in 2013. That's the only other time
that City of
it has
Culture
crossed the border.
Oh, right, okay.
City of Culture year, which was amazing.
Wexford's tiny. How did they do that?
Well, I think people satellite outside of these towns when it's in there, but they'll all be in Belfast. That's the beauty of it. Everybody will stay in the city for the Fleadh in Belfast, and it'll be huge for the city. And I think one of the most significant things is that a couple of 100,000 people who've never set foot across the border will come to Belfast and realise that it's not all bombs and bullets up here. That, it's a modern, energetic, fantastic European city now.
Which it is, and it's fun to be. But that is an interesting, because we have this debate all the time. You know, I do the history podcast with Cormac Moore. He's a bit of a United Irelander, but he keeps telling that people down south, he's from Laois, loads of people down south don't come up here. They just don't have no connection with here. Still scared to come up,
Well, I think if you spent your life watching, the UTV and BBC bulletins and the RT bulletins just showing death and destruction, that if you've seen that for 40 or 50 years, then it's very hard to get over that, and we don't make the news now on RTE.
So what you're saying is, turn the Nolan show off. Don't listen to it.
Do you watch that?
He loves it. He never misses it.
It's like a pain player. I catch up on it, Donald.
It's like a pain pleasure thing, is it?
No, just pain. But I mean, like all these things. Again, I don't know an awful lot about the flag. Well, this is a major event, and then Northern Ireland being Northern Ireland, there's a bit of sniping going on behind the scenes, and they go, You'll always get a bit of politics. Is this kind of?
You'll always get a bit of begrudgery, no matter what.
Is it begrudgy rather than political stuff? Or
well,
is it just kind of,
I think the event itself will override all of that. The positivity,
I think the sheer scale of it.
The economic impact. It's going to bring 100 million of a spend to the city. So council are investing very wisely in this event. I think they're investing something like 2 or 3 million to generate 100 million of an economic impact. You don't get that opportunity
for a week.
For a week.
Imagine all the cruise liners are kind of scheduling to get there.
Stupid question. Who organises the Fleadh? What's the organisation?
So Belfast City Council, in partnership with a local cultus branch, Ards cultus out here in North Down there, and in Belfast, they're delivering the Fleadh together.
Right, cultus. And are you involved at all? Or are you kind of?
Well,
the
week that we have in advance of it is an intense job of work in itself. By the time we get to the end of our week, a friend of mine, the brother Maguire, who I should give a shout out to, he's a legendary boron player in this town.
He can actually play a boron.
Yeah, he owns one and can play it. And he says after a week like that, you need a dark room and a wet lettuce. That is definitely the case. We'll be involved in certain gigs and different aspects, but it's Belfast City Council and Ards that are delivering the Fleadh.
All right, okay. Well, looking forward to that, because are there tunes you go, for fuck's sake, not the Lonesome Boatman again?
that one in particular, yeah.
Is that one I got?
Well, if you're ever in any session anywhere in the country, somebody inevitably comes up, staggers up, and says, "Do you know the Lonesome Boatman?" And I tend to say,
"No, never heard of it in my life."
Say he's lonesome for a reason, and he went that way. Depends on the form you're in. You'll play it if you're in the form.
Right. Okay.
But like anything else, I suppose there are hackneyed tunes that have become. But the funny thing about and any music is that the thing that's hackneyed today, in 5 or 10 years' time,
will come back again.
Will be cool again. It's all cyclical. So tunes that we got really tired of playing as kids, then you didn't play for 10 or 15 years, and all of a sudden you rediscovered and realised why they were so popular, because they're great, structured tunes.
Like ABBA.
There's a criticism of some of these sessions. You go, they've played the same tune 25 times, only you haven't noticed. Would that be fair?
To the uninitiated, that might seem to be the case. It's the same in jazz, isn't it? Or what does it they say about a jazz guitarist? And what's the difference between a jazz guitarist and a rock guitarist? A rock guitarist plays 3 chords to thousands of people. And it's the same with the trad. You know, if you're not familiar with the tunes or the structure, you can imagine it's all the same.
One of my father's favourite jokes was there was a famous jazz trumpeter who died. He was one of those. And people were going, he's brilliant, he's this, that, the other. My father said to him, he never played the same tune once. It's a great joke. So yeah, to my father, I'm lucky because he introduced me to classical music and traditional music and all sorts. And I was into punk and all sorts of stuff. But trad, I need to rediscover a bit of trad because I do like a session in a bar. Would you recommend? So what should I go and see in Trad Fest, and what should I go and see in the Fleadh?
Well,
what's the hot tickets that you can get me for nothing? You brought
the whiskey's not enough.
No, the whiskey. The whiskey is very much accepted and acceptable.
You've gone. I'm glad I brought the whiskey. You've gone easy on me. Bribery and threats is how I raise my children as well. So it seems to have worked here. No, the Fleadh and the Trad Fest will have amazing opportunities to witness lots of free music, but also lots of ticketed, brilliant concerts. And we have got. We've got a band called Solace coming to Belfast. This will be their first gig here in 20 years. They're an Irish-American supergroup.
Right.
And it's a rare opportunity to see them. They'll be playing the Mandela Hall. We also have the amazing Fleadh, which is fronted by a great whistle player from Armagh called Brian Finnegan. And so we'll have a full programme of concerts in places like the Ulster Hall, the Mandela Hall, the Mac Theatre, the Lyric Theatre, the Empire Music Hall.
Taking over everywhere.
Black Box. Yeah, and that was one of our aims and objectives in setting up the charity that is Belfast TradFest 10 years ago next month, was to bring traditional music to all the big rooms in the city and fill all the big rooms. And so we brought the Bothy Band to the Waterfront Hall a couple of years ago for their revival. That was their first gig in Ireland since 1978. And we filled the Ulster Hall on many occasions. We just had Michael McGoldrick and a 101-piece youth trad orchestra in the Ulster Hall a couple of weeks ago. So we're bringing the music to the big rooms and the small rooms and filling all the rooms.
Sure, if I want to go and see jazz that week, where do I
Scott's Jazz Club. I should give Scott's Jazz Club a mention.
there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't been, but I've heard great things about it.
Amazing. They're filling that room on a weekly basis. Something that was unheard of a couple of years ago.
Is Cormac O'Kane
and Scott Flanagan.
From
way back,
our show way back. Live with the Whole Wall Gang. He did PK Tonight and stuff. Cormac and Fergus.
Yeah, amazing.
But apparently, I've heard great stuff about it.
Incredible. And there are other jazz events that take place in the city as well, in the American Bar, different places. But what they've done with Scott's is pack out that house with world-class jazz musicians. So it's an amazing time to be alive in this city for so many different reasons.
Yeah, and it's all very powerful. I mean, music does bring you together. I mean, if you're, well, I know we Northern Ireland, we have certain types of music that can divide you.
Yes.
But I mean, you've made a lot of effort to be inclusive and stuff like that. Are there still unionists going, I don't like that. I don't want any part of it.
We had a school's traditional music performance a couple of weeks ago, and we had a complaint that the 7-year-old kids were playing a tune on the tin whistle, the Roddy McCorley. Mm-hmm. And that melody is like 400-500 years old. In 1890, a radical Presbyterian called Anna Johnson wrote the lyrics of Roddy McCorley about a United Irishman from 1792. And then it has gone on to be used by other songs, Sean South of Garryowen and different things. But the complaint was that this is highly offensive that a 7-year-old is playing this melody on a tin whistle. And it opens up kind of interesting conversation around, does a song have impact if it doesn't have lyrics, or if it's not sung, or this is deep ethnomusicological discourse. But I suppose we're coming out of a post-conflict time when we were highly sensitized and highly sensitive about things, and hopefully we can move forward and be a little bit less exercised by these things.
Yeah,
I'm reminded of the guy who rang into, I think it was Nolan, should we hate to say, but he complained about the Casement Park. He said when they build Casement Park, when they do finish it, you know what they're going to do? They're going to name it after a Republican.
Some Republican terrorist or other.
What's your casement mean?
Dan Gordon did a good documentary about loyalist flute bands and stuff, and it was kind of and they have a very bad image in some areas for the political stuff. But he said they're actually really, really important, in their communities. There's a lot of really good musicians relationship there and stuff like that. And yes, you know, one side of the community goes, well, I just dismisses them as kind of people who can't play and all that sort of stuff. I mean, do you have any connection with any of that?
Well, I
world,
think anything that is art and that is you know, perfected to a high level and is celebrated in that way is worth celebrating. And I think if we take the sort of the heat out of these things as we go forward, that, you know, marching bands in full glory, when they're not offending people, they're musically most impressive. And you know, to be in a street when there's and like, I think if you go to America and they have like Civil War mock celebrations where they have got great fife bands and fife and drum bands, there's none of this sort of tension and strife about it. So someday we may get to that. And we have had bands as part of the funny thing about bands is when you speak to bandsmen, they quite often, we would say, you know, you're a flute player, you know. The traditional flute players play the big D, the concert D flute. You play the B flat flute, and they say, "No, we're not musicians. We're bandsmen."
Right.
So there's a kind of a different way of thinking about. It's a kind of a social thing. They go to the hall on a Thursday to be part of a community social thing, and they maybe don't see the art and the music in the way that outsiders do. And I think that might just take a little flick of the switch at some point to realise that this is art, you know, and it's been perfected at a high level. When you've got 20 people playing the same melody with military precision together, that's like in the Ceilidh band world, that's what happens. You got 10 musicians on different instruments all playing the exact same melodic line, the same ornamentation, the same variations at the exact same time. It's unbelievable skill.
Is there a form of music you hate? For me, it would be
Go on.
show band music. Well, Irish country music. Irish country. You know, the Hugo sort of thing. You know,
And he's our mate.
and Hugo, no, I love Hugo. Hugo's a gentleman and a really nice guy. But yeah,
He is a gentleman. But the definition of a millisecond is the time from when Hugo comes on the radio to you getting it off onto the next channel, isn't it?
Oh God! But that dear nicker.
I'm
Is there a form of music are you allowed to say that
There's
you
only
go?
two types. There's only two types of music in this world: good music and bad music. And thankfully, we don't get to hear too much bad music.
He's a diplomat.
that was.
Actually, we worked with an American guy called Bob Brosman, an amazing guitarist, and he said there were two types of music in this world: the music of the colonizer and the music of the colonized.
Whoa.
And the colonizer marches into town on the beat, so they're very strong march beat, and the colonized fight the beat. So you think sort of reggae music or Irish traditional music. So that was his theory, which was I'm not sure how exact it is, but interesting nonetheless.
And you've played with all sorts of very famous people and stuff, haven't you? You've played with bands and did you play with John Prine? Did you?
I met John Prine. I presented a TV show here for BBC NI back in 2006, and John Prine was on it, and he was amazing. Yeah. I remember he had a guitar, and a Martin D28 guitar, and I asked him about it. I said, "It's a beautiful guitar," and he said, "Yeah, I bought this in 1956, and it was really good in the 50s, and then the 60s it got a bit tight sound, and then the 70s it sounded great again. In the 80s it wasn't great. The 90s it came good again. It's starting to come good again." He'd been around so long, you know. Yeah.
Relationship with your instrument is very important.
Very much so. Yeah.
How many fiddles do you have? If I go to your house, is there loads?
I have two at the minute. Yeah. I've curtailed my gear lust because I have a family. In fact, I have a record. I have a recording studio here in the city with Cormac O'Kane, and we both joked that the reason we have a recording studio was because our wives said, "Get all that stuff out of the house, store it somewhere."
I sold a guitar to the Edge.
Did you? Yeah.
I did. So
But it wasn't your guitar.
It wasn't my guitar, and it was at an auction, a charity auction, but I technically sold the guitar to the Edge. I ran the auction which he paid a lot of money for.
I'm sure he did.
But he is the Edge, he can afford it.
Yeah,
he has a few.
Yeah.
It's like George Loudon. He's quite famous, isn't he?
He's a great guitar maker. Yeah.
You can play. Did you play any electric stuff, or is it all trad or?
No, well, actually, there's a brilliant guitar company just out Newton Arts here called Avalon Guitars, and a friend of mine, John McCartan, has just bought that company, and he's doing great work, and he's building me a tenor guitar at the minute, which is a 4-string guitar.
Right.
So for a fiddler, it's 2 less strings than an average guitar, which makes a bit more sense for us.
Right.
So it's being delivered next week, so I'm very excited about that.
Brilliant.
And they're making some really, really nice guitars out there.
Don't know that virtual hour has just flown by. Thank you very much. We're really looking forward. I'm going to go to the Trad Festival. I like a pub where there's a bit of music in it.
Well,
like
we'll
a
see you
pub.
there.
This is a very special gift, and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And looking forward to the Fleadh and to the Belfast TradFest. Festival. Congratulations on everything you do. Anything you want to plug before you finally go here? Is there anything you want to say to us? Say to the people?
No, keep up the great work, and nice to see you both, and great to be here.
Donal, absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the culture we bring you, with politics, comedy, actors, all sorts of things. Finally, traditional music. Delighted to bring Dónal O'Connor to the Give My Head podcast. We'll see you next time. All the best.
Yeah.